Hey, good morning. Day 2 of our New Testament through the year. For Salem, we are reading Mark chapter 2 today. So if you've not read it, I'd encourage you again to go ahead and hit pause, read through it, and see what God says to you as you read that, and come back to this. But I had somebody spoke once, and he said you can really read all the Gospels through two lenses. One is, what do you do with Jesus? Do you have faith that Jesus is the Son of God and who the Gospels say he is? And secondly, don't be a Pharisee. The scribes, the Pharisees, teachers of the law, were the religious leaders, were legalists at the time. And in chapter 2, we see both of those issues, the component of faith, and we see a battle beginning to brew with the Pharisees, that there are really two sides that are being drawn. And we see the paralytic being healed in the first part of chapter 2, and Jesus commends them for their faith. And the last verse of that section, verse 12, people went away amazed and glorifying God. So we have these people that are choosing to follow God, and yet each of these sections, and again we see snippets, just going from scene to scene in Mark. We see the Pharisees or the scribes show up in each, and they ask a question in each section. In verse 7, why does the man act like this? He's blaspheming. Jesus' call to Levi, the tax collector, and eats with them, and the Pharisees say, why does he eat with tax collectors and sinners? The question about fasting, the Pharisees are questioning, why does John's disciples and the disciples of the Pharisees fast, but Jesus' disciples don't? And then the section on the Sabbath, again they are really pointing out that what they're doing on the Sabbath is not lawful. So we see this almost a conflict beginning to brew, and Mark is laying the groundwork for that. So we'll see that as we continue through Mark, but it's something we'll continue to look for. And I just want to, to the part about eating with the sinners and tax collectors, a podcast I listened to several years ago talked about how radical this truly would have been. In fact, compared it to attending a wedding of a same-sex couple for a Christian, and saying that eating with the sinners and tax collectors would have been much more severe, much more controversial at that time. And said it would be more similar to even going to a wedding of a same-sex couple and then giving a toast to bless that couple would be similar to what Jesus is doing in eating with the tax collectors and the sinners. So something to think about. Jesus, and he says, I came for those who are sick, those who need a physician. So and that includes, because of sin, that includes you and I. So this whole question of faith, what do you do with Jesus, and don't be a Pharisee. We're going to see it over and over. So have a great day. I'd love you to share what God's saying to you as you read Mark chapter 2 today. So go ahead and share those in the comments if you would.